Well, good afternoon, everyone. Your SBA Government Affairs team here for our second webinar on Washington Week. We will go ahead and give it a few more minutes for everyone to sign in. But in the meantime, if you all can put in the chat if this is your first Washington Week and what school and state you are coming from. We're really great to see how many first timers we have, how many others have been here more than once while we wait for the rest of the group to join. I see Gage, this is your first time. Well, so glad to have you join the Ohio State crew and coming. Just got off the phone with Student Mentor of the Year last year, Ralph, and he had mentioned about the crew that's coming from California. So really excited to have you all come and join us. Looks like we have someone coming in from Maryland. So that'd be a short trip for you. Well, great. Thank you all and keep putting that in there. I will first start off by I will start first off by saying this session is recorded. For those that registered for this session, give us about 24 hours and you will receive an email with this recording and a PDF of the slide deck. So you have access to all those links, but Faisal and I will also be sharing them in the chat as we go along. So you have that as another way of information. And if you haven't already done so, and you are planning to come to Washington Week, I highly recommend you going on there and registering. It lets us know what events you're considering coming to. That way we can ensure that you all have a great time when you're here to Washington Week. So like I mentioned, good afternoon. This is SBA's Government Affairs team. My name is Tammy Bartlett. I'm Vice President of Government Affairs, and I am here with... Oh no, Faisal. Not sure what happened to the headset there.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right.
Wonderful.
Faisal Solman, legal fellow here for SVA.
And we are really great to have you all in the room today. So Faisal, if you want to go ahead and advance that slide for me. So Washington Week this year is March 2nd to the 4th, that Monday through Wednesday. Today we were going to talk about a Tuesday webinar recap. Again, if you didn't join us on Tuesday, we're going to give you a quick overview of what we talked about. Give us another day or two and we will have that webinar posted on the SBA Washington Week website for you to review. But because you're here today, you're kind of getting a refresher, a recap of those 20 minutes that we spent chatting on Tuesday. We're going to go over SBA's talking points for this year and then what to wear when you are in DC. I will also preface by saying the webinar this coming Tuesday will add some additional information building your prep work to Washington Week. So even if you're attending today, I also highly recommend attending next Tuesday or at least registering for it, because if you register, you'll get kicked back the recording and the slide deck. You want to forward me there, Faisal? All right, so SBA's Washington Week does look a little different than last year. Monday and Wednesday, we will have the Inform the Hill days. It's where you all schedule your meetings with the Hill staff or your congressional members. Faisal will go in a little detail of that here shortly. In addition, SBA headquarters will have an open house between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if you're in the area, please stop by. We are 655 15th Street Northwest, Suite 320. And if you do anticipate on stopping by and hanging out for a little bit, let us know. There are some special entry directions, which are simple by one, registering through the Washington Week website that let us know you're coming. Two, when you enter the building, stop by the security desk there by the F and the 15th Street corner of the building, and then they will grant you access, and you will go ahead and go to the 3rd floor, where you'll see SBA's headquarters. And then Tuesday. Tuesday is our big day. Tuesday, we start off with coffee and connections. It's kind of a pre-hearing meetup between 9 and 10:30. Location is TBD right now, but we are getting things together for you to ensure that we have that collective time to really connect with each other before the hearing starts. Advocating in action, hearings on the Hill. So the Joint Senate and House Veteran Affairs Committee hearing will start at 10 a.m., although panel 1 is the VFW. SVA, among other veteran serving organizations like IAVA, Blind Veterans of America, are on panel 2. So we estimate that to start somewhere around 11:30. It is very fluid in the scheduling because it all really depends on how many members and how long the VFW's panel goes, and if they have to pause and take votes. So it can either go real quick or real slow. But we anticipate panel 2 to beginning around 11 a.m. If you attend the Coffee Connection, there'll be a whole migration from the coffee event up to the hearing. And then following the hearing, we will do a lunch and chapter network between 1 and 4. Again, that start time of 1 is a little fluid depending what time the hearing ends. And so just another opportunity for you all to gather, talk about what happened at the hearing, and opportunity to meet some of our government affairs awardees.
We believe the accomplice has done this before.
Faisal, you want to go ahead and forward? And if you all can, just make sure that you are muted on your microphones. I'd really appreciate that.
There's a good chance he's going to check up on you.
All right, Faisal, go ahead and tell us how to schedule a Hill meeting.
Sorry, my computer's acting up. Okay. Hi, everyone. Scheduling meetings. Again, we're just doing a recap from last Tuesday. But first, to scheduling meetings, you got to figure out who your member of Congress is. And you can do that by clicking the link, the first link up there. And once you do that, you would want to see whether or not if a meeting has been scheduled already with that particular member on the House or the Senate. And with that link there, the Google link, it'll take you to a Google Doc where I will show it in a few slides, where you can see whether or not a meeting has been made with your representative or your Senate member. If a meeting has already been made, connect with the POC listed there. It could be Tammy, it could be me, it could be anyone else, any one of our Washington Week attendees who've made that meeting themselves. And if you don't see a POC there, then go ahead and proceed with scheduling and try to get a meeting for yourself as well. And then once you do have a meeting established, fill it in the Google Sheet, please. And then note yourself as the POC for anyone else that may join you. In the next bullet, you can contact your member office there, member of the House or Senate, by following those links. And on the next slide, I've included an email template where you fill it in, your name, address, your university, showing that you're a constituent, and that you're there to be talking about our talking points, which will be going on later in the slide, later in the presentation as well, and the dates you can meet. If you haven't heard anything back, maybe follow up with the phone call, and just to make sure that you have a meeting scheduled for that time. So, and also just one thing to note, you may not be meeting with the member, and that's okay. Most likely they'll have you with a particular staffer that's focusing that portfolio, and that's honestly better because the staffer is the one that's going to be convincing the member anyway. So on the next slide here, here's a little template. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Faisal Solomon, and I'm currently a student at University of Chapel Hill in North Carolina. I'll be in Washington, D.C. for SVA's Washington Week, and would love to schedule a meeting with Representative um, Tom Tillis or their staff on either March 2nd or Wednesday, March 4th at your convenience, and would like to discuss student veteran policies. The rest of the email. And again, feel free to edit this template as you wish. But this is just a really good starting point for you as you begin your reaching out to the offices. Again, once you have a meeting confirmed, fill it in using the Google link here. Here's an example. And if you are a member of any of these with these representatives as your member, please reach out to us. Tammy and I have been working very hard over the last several weeks trying to get meetings with these members and their offices, most of which we've already have something scheduled with. And you can see it also in the Google Doc. It will have something like this: contact SVA staff, Tammy or Faisal. And if you're in the constituency group, feel free to reach out to us, and we can all head over there together for a meeting.
Thank you, Faisal. I also want to add, as far as staff meetings, please understand that even if they can't meet with you among these 2/3 days, maybe try to see if you can do a virtual meeting when you get back. Or when you are in DC, feel free to drop by your office or drop by their office. You are a constituent of their district or their state, and you have every obligation to walk into their office, introduce yourself, let them know that you're here as part of Student Veterans of America, and you would like to talk to the staff member that either has the portfolio of higher education or veterans issues. And then you can have that, hopefully that person's in the office and you can grab them for a few minutes, or you'll be given their card and then you can always follow up. So you come to Washington Week, you have your member meeting scheduled. But what are you thinking about talking about? And you really want to talk about something that's aligned with SVA. So this year we have 3 SVA talking points. So our talking points are going to be around modernizing the GI Bill annual book stipend, the Student and Veteran Success Center grant pilot program, and VA work study reform. So we're going to talk through these today. That way you guys can have a chance to, one, consider which one that you really want to talk about, 1 or 2. Maybe start working on your pitches of how to craft your lived experience with some of the talking points that we have here. Just help you prepare for those meetings and those experiences, engagement on the Hill. So modernizing the GI Bill annual book and education supply statement. So currently the post 9/11 GI Bill has been unchanged since 2009. It's an $1,000 annual book stipend, which really no longer covers the rising cost of textbooks and materials. You all participated in a book stipend survey that SVA's research team had placed out last year, where we heard from you, and you all had mentioned that nearly 45% of you exceed the $1,000 annual book stipend, with the undergrads making up more than half of those that are impacted. We also know that for student veterans in STEM and JD degrees, that book stipend quickly runs out, sometimes in 1 semester, leaving you all to find other ways to help cover those expenses, sometimes taking on debt to ensure that you have your essential supplies to complete your degree. So what's the ask of Congress? Well, SVA is asking and urging Congress to co-sponsor and pass HR 1965, which would adjust this to a $1,400 annual stipend and then also codify for inflation. Why that second part? Well, so we don't have to come back and consistently ask for an adjustment to this. That's your ask on the House side. Your ask on the Senate side is for them to introduce a companion bill, because right now there's only a House bill. There's not yet been a companion bill introduced on the Senate side. And if you or yourself are a STEM or a JD student, we're also looking for a specific stipend just for those degree individuals, because we know how increased that book stipend and supply is for you annually, or I should say the cost for you annually, and see if we can help pull something out specifically for those degrees.
Going on to our second talking point, it would be talking about the Student Veteran Success Centers, more familiarly known as the CVES grant by the Department of Education. So we constantly hear that Student Veteran Success Centers, they were just like a one-stop shop for student veterans to find support on their campus, networking, mentorship, pretty much the whole gamut, from financial assistance all the way to career services. And in the last year or two, this grant, under the Department of Education, slowly. Can we
I like
ask?
him a lot.
Excuse me, everyone. Can we make sure
I
everyone is
when I was
muted?
reading
Hot mic.
resumes, I had a few reservations. Just some things, personal things that I was not quite for sure where it would align.
I
Okay.
got you, Faisal.
Thank you. Oh, wait. Okay. Yeah, the importance of student veteran success centers have been something we've been hearing for quite some time. And the Department of Education grant under the CVES program slowly went away over the last year. And so what's our ask for Congress? In the House, there's currently a bill, HR 6358, the Veteran Education Empowerment Act, which would bring this grant back for an 8-year pilot program to help establish new student veteran success centers or improve current ones on campus in an 8-year pilot program. Our ask for the Senate is very similar, asking to see if the Senate could introduce a companion bill for this.
And next is the VA work study reform. So by a quick show of reaction, how many of you are going through the VA work study program? How many of you utilize that program? All right, there are quite a few of you here in the room. Great, thank you. So you have that lived experience of the VA work study program, and I'm sure ways that you can think of how that can be more streamlined and assist you further in your resume building, or maybe you've considered applying for it, but you're a half-time student. So right now, we know the system is outdated and underutilized, forcing many veterans to pursue jobs that don't align with their career aspirations to meet some of the financial need you have during your pursuit of higher education. We really would like to see the work study program provide some more career relevant opportunities, and then also maybe help diversify in fields of cybersecurity, healthcare, and public service, to really trying to meet the goal of the student that's utilizing the program. So SBA urges Congress to co-sponsor and pass HR 5965 and HR 6011. So these two bills would help expand and modernize the VA work study program by expanding work study eligibility to those that are half-time or more, also bring in some pay parity, allow for some electronic timekeeping. From what we hear from some students, advisors, and schools, they're still using fax machines to send in their weekly and biweekly reports. Also expand the type of activities and the positions available so it aligns with your goals, so you can utilize the VA work study in that way. Again, on the Senate side, we're asking for introduction of a Senate companion bill to those two House bills. And I think that's all of our talking points. Before we continue on to what to wear, I will also add, when you go into these meetings, and we'll hit on some of this on Tuesday, how to utilize congress.gov to search out your member and maybe to see if they already are co-sponsoring. So let's say they are already co-sponsoring some of these bills. It's always best to come into these conversations not just with, this is what's going on, this is the solution, this is our call to action for you, but maybe also some gratitude about what your member has done so in the past to help veterans and higher education. So keep that in mind as you prepare for your conversations.
Just wrapping up, Washington Week is less than 2 weeks away now. Just about, and I know everyone's if you're an HS packer like I am, I like to be packed a week ahead before my trips. So what do you have to wear? Um, Pretty much it's on the left side. Business casual for the headquarters SBA open house, again going from 9 to 4 p.m. But pretty much everything is business professional, from the coffee and connections, the joint hearing, meetings with your elected representatives, the post hearing lunch and chapter networking is all business professional. Um, Highly recommend you wearing comfortable shoes. It is a lot of walking. If you're going from the House to the Senate, it is approximately 15, 20-minute walk, and that's a lot of walking. So when you plan your meetings and schedule them, try and have them all kind of grouped together. So you have like all your Senate meetings on one day, and then maybe on Wednesday have all your House meetings. And if you don't have that luxury to do so, where you need to go from the House or the Senate and vice versa, try and make sure your scheduling is spaced out a little bit to give you some buffer to walk. Um, because even though there is a metro going from one building to other, it's not accessible to the public unless you're staff. So you're gonna have to walk. Um, but again, business professional for the majority of the events, unless you're visiting headquarters for the open house, where you can be business casual. Obviously, when you arrive and depart, you're more than welcome to have something casual. But if you like flying in a suit, then people won't judge. Fly in a suit. And here's our Tammy. You go wrap it up.
Yeah, so thank you, Faisal. So in addition to what to wear, things that you might be planning out or things you've already done, where to stay, lodging. SVA doesn't have any type of blocked hotel. It's kind of like plug and play adventure for you all. I would highly recommend either trying to stay somewhere either downtown or up at the hill. If you can't, and I understand the availability for that can be a little tight, I would highly recommend something close to a metro stop. Again, becoming very familiar with the metro system here in DC, that will help out in your travels throughout the beginning of the week. I don't have anything else. We don't have anything else on the slide deck, but I will take any questions. I do see James in the chat had asked about an exception letter for schools. This was something we were working on in the last day or two, so I will double check before I provide an answer for that to ensure that it is out on our website for you to utilize, but it is something that is on our radar.
I had a question. Can you hear me? Oh, hey. So I work for the congressman for my district, and they were a little confused in my office on how to go about setting up this appointment. Is this kind of like a individual type of meeting? We're not like doing it together, grouped with all the SVA members, or is this kind of like our own separate meeting we have with our congressman on like I saw on the calendar on the 2nd or on the 4th. Does it matter which day?
Maria, remind me what state you're from?
I'm in Virginia, specifically Richmond.
Okay, yeah. So something like that, I would first recommend you checking into the Google link to see if any other SBA chapter members have scheduled a meeting, maybe with the Virginia senators. Obviously, something like the Virginia senators, that's something that all the Virginia chapter leaders can get together and make one appointment. Your individual House representative, since that's more of a district specific for you, it may just be you in that meeting, unless there are others in Virginia or others at sea that if you scheduled something out that have the opportunity to join you. Faisal and I always get asked in our responses back from the Hill, like how many of there are you coming, and who is all coming? And our response to that is we'll provide you that update the week before with a list of all the attendees.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope
And
that
also,
answered your question.
and also, like for example, if you go to the scheduling process, for example, and you have a meeting on the books with your representative, if someone's out of your district and they want to tag along, like, I'm considering moving to Richmond. Maybe it would be a good idea for me to talk to the representative there and just chat about issues that are going on in the community. They could reach out to you if you list yourself as the point of contact in that Google sheet. Like, hi Maria, can I join you in your meeting with Representative X? And they will have the ability to do so by just reaching out. Ideally, the whole point of the Google Sheet, we're trying to make sure that we don't have multiple meetings with the same representative over the course of the day. There was an instance last year where we had like 6 meetings with the same representative in their office, or like if we knew that, we would have just made everyone join together at once. So we're just trying to eliminate some confusion.
I will also add there's usually a good crowd that comes from Virginia.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure it out because typically we would call the Washington staff and they would set up the meeting. But since you said it's on a Google Excel sheet, I wasn't sure how they're, I guess, getting notified of it. I guess that's on us to call and set that up, right? Okay,
Yes, yes.
that's yeah.
Mr. Wise from Alaska, how can we help you?
Hi, Tammy. Hi, everybody else. Hope you guys are doing well. I already scheduled my meetings with my senators. Unfortunately, the only day that they could do it was on the 3rd. Is that going to be okay, even though it's not in the block that we have listed on the schedule?
Sure, that's completely fine. Just understand you might miss out on something, either the coffee, the hearing, or the lunch. But understand too that there's other priorities going on that maybe the staffers. There are Wednesday afternoon or Tuesday afternoon meetings that Faisal and I will also be attending. So you might not see us at lunch.
Perfect. Just wanted to make sure. Thankfully for me, I only have the 2 senators and 1 representative, so not as many as the other states. Thank you, Tammy.
You're welcome. See, we got another hand raised. Mitchell.
Yes, hi, good afternoon, everyone, and happy Friday. Quick question. So this is gonna be my first Washington week. So will the letter be in SBA letterhead or school letterhead when we send that? And can we share the agenda with other student veterans, not particularly an SBA member, or the school vet office? Like if I want to do a widespread informational purposes. And well, I have so many questions, but yeah, I'll park the first two.
Yeah, so the letter will be on SVA letterhead. And yes, we highly recommend you sharing the Washington Week website with your school administrators, fellow students. And if you do have fellow students that want to come and be involved, I mean, highly recommend that also. Louder voice, we do rely on our allies to help us out in some of our advocacy efforts. So yes,
Do
yes,
they
and
have to
yes.
register then if they're planning to attend even for the last minute?
We would like for them to register if
Okay.
possible, yes.
Okay. Thank you for answering that. And for the topics, I know that you presented 3 major like agendas that we're going to talk about during the Washington Week, but are we able to talk something else that may be related more specifically to our, like locality, community, or like to my degree, for instance? I know, like, for instance, you mentioned that with regards to the sorry, like the 1400 and for the STEM and JD programs that you're gonna bump that up in a different way. I was thinking maybe it could be applied to other masters or doctoral programs that, like, because we also incur more books and expenses towards those degrees. and if that would be something that we can talk about as well.
Yes.
And
So first and foremost, you are there as their constituent. So if you have some barriers and challenges or best practices that you've experienced in your community or on campus, we highly recommend you share that with your member or the staffers.
okay, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I'm definitely going to make a list for this. So appreciate it.
You're welcome. Yeah, and it's good to come in there with a list and a game plan. And hey, Shane, how can we help you out? What's your question? Oh, I think you. How about
Hi,
now?
thank you guys. So my quick question is just, and I threw this into the chat, but is there any worry or discussion on SVA's side on this latest memo from DoD, DOW, whichever you want to call it, on the high risk schools, and is the potential that that ends up impacting GI Bill and VRE Chapter 35 type programs? Is that on the radar at all? Is that something that we should maybe consider um, in these GI Bill discussions? Just is there any SVA conversation on that yet?
Yeah, so this is something that just came out in the last week. So Faisal and I had a GI Bill stakeholder meeting yesterday, and this was not mentioned on that meeting. So I don't believe this is something currently on VA's radar. But as far as SVA is, we are aware of the now turn of tuition assistance not to be utilized at these institutions. And that is concerning because those institutions provide a very valuable education. And so our DoD friends, DOW friends, we want to ensure that, they have every opportunity, just like every other student, to go to school where they would like to go to versus being dictated where to go.
And then if I could really quickly, just a follow on, this isn't necessarily a student veteran strictly issue, but just because the population at risk is Afghan Iraq veterans primarily, but is the Richard Starr Act on the radar to be talked about at all from the VA perspective, just because there's a high percentage of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans that are going to be affected by this, and Bob Wicker seems to be the only thing holding this bill up for passage. Is that on the radar at all?
So that's not something that SVA has directly, individually advocated on because we are connected with other VSOs that are speaking on that. We deal more with education, higher education issues. But that doesn't mean that, yes, SVA does support the Richard Starr Act, and we voiced that out on press releases and in letters. But as far as actively advocating for it, we are currently only at the bandwidth of 2 staff members.
Thank you very much. And if you guys need any more legal volunteers, I've got a bunch of friends that need internships, so let me know. I can send them your way.
Thank you so much. Hi, Caitlin. How are you? How can I help you?
Hey, pretty good. I'm sorry I jumped on so quickly the other day. I didn't get a chance to type my last name, but I figured maybe you'd realize the old-fashioned spelling. That was actually me. To Shane's point, Shane, I already sent you a LinkedIn. And I know you all probably don't go down these paths too far, Tammy and Faisal, but if you're not aware, in my Chapter 35 binder, first thing is the fact that during the last administration of this type, um, uh, people were precluded from using their own VR&E Chapter 33 and Chapter 35 benefits outside of the United States. And I don't think that registered a lot with veterans here in the 50 states. But that took, I think, 3 years. And Tammy, I'm not sure you all really tracked it that much because it was a small population. But having my alma mater, William and Mary, on that list last week um, is one of those lines. This is just absolutely not okay. So without slinging mud at one party or the other, I think we all really need to keep our ears to the ground. You and I have had numerous conversations about the GI Bill case. That's not being followed either, by the way. Is everyone aware of that? That 700,000 veterans who thought they had gotten an extra 12 months of typically post 9/11 GI Bill benefits are being told, oops, sorry, you didn't get a DD 214 and raise your right hand and re-enlist, so not for you. This is big. I was the only veteran who showed up at the Veterans Court on the 12th of December to support the two attorneys who worked pro bono on that for almost a decade, actually over a decade by last December. We've got to show up for education benefits the way people show up for the Richard Starr Act, for the PACT Act, or we are going to find that we are left without options that people had after World War II, with, forgive me, the exception of Black GIs. We are back in a position where, you know, okay for you, but not okay for that person. Or that school. So anyway, I will shut up there. Tammy, you know me pretty well, but thanks so much for letting those of us who are older and not actively in school get involved, because there's so much work to be done. So Shane, yes, your volunteers, send them their way, send them to me. Thanks,
Thank you,
guys. See you
Caitlin.
on the Hill.
Greatly appreciate that. I was just looking here at Ryan's comment. So right now the bill has that hard number of $1,400, but as I mentioned, there's that tie-in to the consumer index, so that keeps increasing with inflation. Lastly, I wanted to mention the SBA app. This will go active next week for you to download. I highly recommend that if you are coming to Washington Week to download that app. There will be some time on Monday and Wednesday when Faisal and I may have a lull of some time and we find ourselves in a coffee shop or in one of the cafeterias, and we're going to quick put, you know, hey, you have some time in between meetings, come on down and grab a stool. That way you can have the opportunity to chat with us one-on-one as we wait for our next meeting. But Maria, earlier I added that link in the chat, but like I mentioned, give us 24 hours and you will have, thank you, Faisal. You will have this recording of this session along with the slide deck and some of the additional links we had mentioned. But for right now, thank you so much for attending our Washington Week #2 prep webinar. We hope to see you all on Tuesday.
Oh, hi, did you have another question? Sorry, hand go up for a
No,
second.
sorry, I went to react and I hit the wrong
you're
button.
You're good.
Thanks, Ty. Great to see you.
You as well. Thanks for having me.